So here's a video for you guys. This is the shift kit for the 4T65E transmission out of any 3800 car, the Pontiacs, Monte Carlos, Buick Regals, etc. But this is the Transgo shift kit I got off eBay for $36, I believe. Now, if you're having problems with your shifting, know these are the different codes. They'll come up with the third shift, but mine is having problems shifting out of first and second. It takes longer to shift out of first gear than second. So I'm going to put this in and see if this helps correct it. So I already have my accumulator out of the car. This is out of the 3800. On the accumulator, they show you know which side is the second and third gear and what is your first and second gear. Then I have my new filter. It's got some transmission fluid built on it. So let's open this up. So I've never installed one of these before. Everybody tells me to do it. I was going to buy the ZZ Performance shift kit. Everybody tells me I'm better off doing the Transgo kit. So I'm going to buy what everybody else tells me to do. So you give you a bunch of parts. So first off, they give you instructions, which is really awesome. They even have everything pictured for you. How it goes for your first and second, second and third. They tell you where all the springs go. Then you have this bag with spraying of the shaft. This one's got the third clutch seal kit, which is your seals. Then you have your seal for, I don't know if it's the piston or something. No reverse cold. Must be something else internally. But this is what I'm going to get into. Now they give you all the springs and whatnot for this kit. So you have these two springs, a yellow spring, two red springs, two white springs. Then it looks like they gave you a couple of different shaft spacers. And I'm assuming I probably won't be using this or these unless I need to do a bunch of transmission work. So here's all the parts you got. You got your two springs for inside the accumulator, and your other springs, which are the two plain ones, which are these big ones. Then you have a white one, which is, they put a little white paint on it. And then the third gear is a big plain spring, a red spring, and a white spring. So this spring, I'm not sure. Let's see, might be for something else. Then you have your two spacers, which will go on either side, there and there, and then another spacer, I'm assuming is this one, goes up there. So let's get into this install. Okay, so once you have your accumulator, when you're removing your accumulator from your transmission, there's 4 bolts that keep it actually bolted into the transmission. Take those out. It is an 8mm socket. And then you have your 3 lines that come into here. You either pry those out, or what I did, I loosened the 4 bolts and let this thing drop, and then I pull the tubes out, and it made it a little easier. So you can either try to remove the tubes out yourself, but be very careful that you don't bend it or break it. So now that I have my Transgo shift kit, you just need to take the accumulator apart. So I have my 8mm socket. And you can use a ratchet if you want, but I'm making things go a lot faster and easier with this impact. Okay, and just keep in mind, keep everything how they have in the picture. Keep everything exactly like it shows in the picture. So once you take this apart, you have a gasket on here. Make sure it doesn't get messed up or broken. So then you have your accumulator. So this side is your first and second gear, and this side is your second and third gear. So this is a pretty basic install. Now you're simply removing your piston and spring. If you want, you can keep the shaft in there and make it a little easier on you. So this is their factory spring, which I can compress it very easily. These are the Transgo kits, which these are harder to move. So I'm gonna get a little bit of fluid on here, so that way helps out. Then get the spring put in, and then the white spring goes in. And then the shaft spacer. Before you put all this in, another thing to watch out for is make sure you keep all this lubricated. So if you have a tub of transmission fluid hanging beside you, I'm just going to use what's in here. Also try to get some lubricant in the shaft, so that way this is all pre-lubed. Okay, so the big spring, in first and second gear, the white spring goes in. And one spacer. And then double check the ring on your accumulator. Make sure it's clean, there's no dirt and debris on it. Then put some transmission fluid on it. And just press it back in. So I think that's it for that side. So then your second and third gear, pull the piston out, pull the old spring out, set those aside, take your new spring, put some lubricant on it. Then the red spring goes in here. So you got your big spring, the red spring, and the white spring. I think that's correct. Then the shaft spacer. And this goes back in. I hate that. And then this little shaft goes on the second and third gear. And I believe that is it for that. Now just double check how you're putting this on. So I got the medium spacer on the second, third gear, which is this side. That's right. So the second and third gear, you have all three springs go inside. Then your first and second gear, you got the big spring and the white spring, and then your shaft spacers. Then you're ready to put it back together. And then just clean up the surface. If you want to take some lubricant and wipe it down and go for it. And then just put your cover back on. And the spring is kind of sticking up. Might have to press it down. Just watch out for this gasket inside. Don't mess it up. So this spring is kind of sticking up, so I'm trying to keep tension on it. Then you're ready to put the rest of the bolts back in. That's pretty easy install for this Transgo kit for the 4T 65E transmissions for any 3800 cars. Then once you got this done, then you just simply put it back in your car, put the tubes back in, put your filter back in, install this with the 4 bolts, and then put your fluid in, and you're good to go. And there you go. You got your accumulator put back together. Double check everything. Now this is my first time installing this, so hopefully I got everything correct. So I hope you enjoyed this little install video of the Transgo kit for the 3800 4T 65E transmissions.